I didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy. And here's a person who is my equal and I really respect. And when I would spew some of my old habits, and he was like, like, who? That's not flying here. And also, it would trigger him to come back at me with things where I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? But I was triggering him. So through work, we learned that we both have certain habits that to the everyday person, from friends, family, fans, they'll never see it. But to the person who loves us deep enough, you can press that button and boom, the dragon comes out. And we both have it. So we had to work on that. But he never told me to fix my temper. I just saw it and I thought, unless I want to stay in this place where I lose this person I love and I stay in my comfort zone of doing what I want to do and function the way I have for the last 40 years when nobody else had to stop me.
Which obviously has done quite well for you.
Right. I could have. But this was something greater that I wanted. And also a great challenge to myself to say, what if now that I know it exists and the dragon's there, what if I got rid of that? How do I kill that dragon or store it in its place so that it never creates havoc in my life? And that took work.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Oh gosh, that note was off. Don't worry about that. We'll kill it off next time. Anyway, listen, let me talk to you about something. Why is it, and I'm just having a general conversation by using these videos, right? That certain, not all, because it's not all black men. Trust me, it really isn't. Like, but certain black men will never tolerate the angry black woman. And I actually agree with them. They should never tolerate that woman. But why is it that they're able to tolerate the preference, the lighter skin tone, the exotic type woman, quote unquote, to say, right? Why are they able to let the Latin, the Spanish, the Mexican, and I mentioned a couple of different regions, ethnicities, race, all are combined into one. So don't correct me on that. It's not meant to be accurate. What I'm trying to say is, there is often a conversation that happens with certain black men about preference and the way that their anger shows up in a completely different way. And I think that speaks to the rhetoric of what we see in media oftentimes when it comes to how we depict both men and women, but we're specifically talking about women in this instance. The angry black woman is a description of a black woman who's bitter, hurt, unforgiving. She's angry because of something that's happened, and she takes that anger out on other people, i.e. the black man, the partner that she has. Now, while I believe that these tropes have some genuinity and some authenticity and some truth to them, I do also believe that the same can be said about preferences and exotic, quote unquote, what they call exotic women, as well, right? Jeanni May would fall into that particular category, interracial women, white women, whatever you want to call it. Anybody who's not black, they would class this as being not angry. It's like, she's not an angry person, she gets frustrated sometimes. We kind of like downplay the behavior. What's interesting is Jeezy married an angry, exotic woman. She's just not black. And the reality is most men would not want to tolerate that. And the black men who don't like angry black women should never tolerate the Jeanni May, right? But why would she even get a chance in the first place? And it's because of the way it gets presented. And because of the way that we have a depiction about one another as black men and black women, right? We both have depictions that are poorly led by stereotypes that are informed by media around us, right? They inform us a lot of our thinking before we even get to a stage. Jeanni May just let us know, Jeanni May, sorry, I should even say, Jeanni May or whatever, I can't remember her name, I don't. Let us know straight away that, she had a hot ass temper. No one could tell her nothing because no one did tell her anything. And she never realized she had a temper until she met Jeezy. And I'm in my head, I'm like, so all this time, no one ever told you, your ex-husband didn't tell you, your colleagues are not telling you, you only realized when you met Jeezy. We're going to have a real conversation. I know I've spoken for 4 minutes, but we're going to continue the conversation. But do me a massive favor. Let me interrupt and say, listen, welcome to the channel, Little Black Bird 91. We're here to inspire conversations, have edutainment, as they say. And we like to have broad, wide conversations in depth as well, and bring in some psychology when we can. If you're new to the channel, like it, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 100K by the end of the year, and you guys are doing so well. You're taking us higher and higher, and I appreciate it. So listen, keep on subscribing. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. My tie is off. Why didn't no one tell me like Jeanni May's anger? Why didn't nobody tell my tie was off like Jeanni May's anger? Hey, if you're here, if you're returnee, you really know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot. Don't forget, we've got some merchandise as well. Click below the link below and grab your merchandise. Listen, it's not going to stay hot for too long. You get me? It gets moved on. We try something else. All right, let's get into the conversation. I already said earlier on that for me, Jeezy married a woman, first and foremost, who was fetishizing him, that thought he was a side piece dish, dark meat on the side. And now we've got a situation where she comes out to tell us that, you know what, she didn't even realize she had anger problems until she met Jeezy. She didn't realize her temper was so hot until she met Jeezy, because her husband was someone who she didn't respect, okay, because he wasn't her equal, right? And, you know, coming into a relationship with Jeezy, he never told her apparently to fix her anger. He never apparently told her to fix her anger. Now, I can't imagine a conversation between anybody, first and foremost, if your anger is a problem, not to fix your anger. I'm going to be real with you. Number two, um, would this have been the same had it been a black woman? I doubt it would have been. And I'm saying again, some black men, not all, because we're not talking about the collective. We're talking about we're talking about a minority of men who particularly like dating particular quote unquote exotic, interracial, whatever you want to call it, right? They like doing it, and they only do that because they believe about downplaying the behaviors of other races and other ethnicities versus hyping up the negatives of a black woman. So I'm talking specifically to those type of women, those type of men, right? So don't label this as every black man. And women in the chat, please, when you want to comment down below, it's not every black man. And for the black men who have been joining my channel recently, I just seen you guys come and dotting in. This is not for everybody. It's for some black men who particularly like dating the preference, quote unquote, to say the exotic, the bad B, the lighty, the Mexican, the Latin, whatever race is outside of black. They like dating that. This is for them. Now, back to what you're saying. Let's just play a little bit more, and I'm going to talk a bit more.
So for me, I think I don't want somebody who doesn't change. I want you to change and grow. If it means growing into an even better version of what I fell in love with.
Mm-hmm. There's this theory, it's called the self-expansion theory. And it essentially says that humans are unique to other animals, and that
where I lose this person I love, and I'm
going to go slightly back.
I was triggering him. So through work, we learned that we both have certain habits.
Hold on, let's go back even further, because, you know, I want to get to the beginning.
Isn't so great for you because you have a lot of people who just agree to what you want. They're yes men, right? And so I didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy. And here's a person who is my equal and I really respect. And when I would spew some of my old habits, and he was like, like who?
Now we're gonna have a separate conversation about this. We're gonna have a separate conversation about this, because what she essentially is saying is she already had a hot temper, but because she also felt like the man that she had previously, the white guy who was the lean meat, apparently, yeah, you know, because she had that guy beforehand, she also allowed herself to disrespect him. Whereas with Jeezy, when she tried it, she felt like he was an equal, and he told her, listen, buck your ideas, right? Then she decided to not play that role anymore of the angry, exotic, preferential woman anymore, right? She took that role off the table, okay? And decided that she needs to work on her in case she loses that person. I think that's quite interesting, right? From a man perspective. We'll play a little bit long and we'll talk.
That's not flying here. And also, it would trigger him to come back at me with things where I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? But I was triggering him. So through work, we learned that we both have certain habits that to the everyday person, from friends, family, fans, they'll never see it. But to the person who loves us deep enough, you can press that button and boom, the dragon comes out.
And so my key thing is this. What I learned from just studying history and understanding around a little bit of this subject is, it is the tropes and the stereotypes and the imagery of the angry black woman and how the message is relayed. Similarly enough to how the message is relayed about black men to black women, there is an agenda that works against us, which further enhances some of the storytelling and the narrations that come around black folk and how we have to hate each other. Right now, that doesn't mean there isn't truth in those things, because it's taking truth and presenting it in a particular way. And we're dealing specifically with women today. Dealing with that issue, the messaging that often comes is, if a black woman's angry or scorned, right, it's a complete negative. Don't date her. Don't be around her. She destroys things. She's bitter. She's this and that and that. That's the imagery that's put across to you, right? But in this case, and of course, Jeannie Mae is a successful woman. She is, you know, an independent woman, etc. And there are many black women who are like the same trope. It's not abnormal to see black women in that same place. But what Jeezy ends up marrying is the same thing. But you know, the conversation usually would be avoid that kind of woman. But we're not avoiding Jeannie Mae. Why not? And again, I'm having a larger conversation about how messages are put across. The reason why he's not gonna, the reason why he would have married her and not avoided it is again because of the way that they're portrayed in this femininity. There is a room for the exotic preference to have femininity whilst being angry, right? There's room for that conversation. But when it comes to Black women, there is no room for that conversation. Even myself, I fall into the trap of sometimes even like there's no hey, where's the femininity here? You've been up in my girl, been all angry and stuff. That I start feeling some type of way too, right? Because that's the indoctrination and the conversation. Now, I'll be fair with you. I think that's every woman. Me personally, it's not just Black women. I do it too. I do it to every type of woman. If you start bucking up against me, trying to get in my face, I'm gonna look at you like, you need to go. You're a danger to everybody around you. But I also understand there's a group of men that too take it that step further who separate the two. Jeannie Mae will be like, oh, whoa, if her anger, she wasn't really angry. She just, she just gets she gets fiery, she gets spicy. These are the terms that get used. And we downplay the behavior because what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep that person, our decision making for that woman, elevated whilst downplaying the Black woman. Now, if you're a person that invests in downplaying Black women and uplifting the exotic woman or the preference or the interracial woman or different, I keep saying it, but it's just long to mention the list, then I would advise you to reconsider. They are both the same, right? But one has a label, the other doesn't. A bit like how we say black on black crime. There's no white on white crime, but there's a black on black crime. And reason being is because it's an agenda that works to try and destroy and kill and steal from a community. And in the same way we have a label now for the angry Black woman, we do not have a label for the angry white woman. Right? Now, we do have a label for a woman who tries to get a Black man tied up or a Black woman messed up. We call them Karens. But in terms of their anger, we don't have a angry white woman or angry Latino woman or angry Mexican woman or angry, let's just say, Eastern European woman. Right? We don't have those terminologies because they're not invested in that particular fight and because the messaging isn't that. And so what happens is when that message keeps getting pumped, what happens is people are easily able to recognize because it's implanted in your brain, it's embedded. So now you start noticing it more when a Black woman gets angry. And then it's like, well, I got to shut that down. Same way when the messaging for young Black men, you wear a hoodie and people avoid you. Now, of course, hoodies can be a little bit scary. Don't play with me. But that messaging is straight away that we're dangerous and we're killers and we're murderers and we're King Kong trying to steal Betty from the white man. That's the messaging. You get what I'm saying to you? And so what's happened is it trickles down, and now we get to spaces like this where Jeannie Mae is telling you she's an angry, preferential woman, and she gonna get a pass because Jeezy was called it into, and apparently he didn't tell her not to. Well, he told her obviously he didn't like that. He's not about her life, and it triggers him. But there was no backlash or conversation around this. And when I saw the commentary, I didn't see Black man coming out saying, "See, angry woman." There's none of that because there is no story or narrative that fits that. There hasn't been one. Whereas when I see an angry Black woman, it's easy to fill in the narrative because there's already one in place. This lets you know that a lot of the conversation sometimes is fitting around a narrative and an imagery that's pushed to you. That's the conversation I wanted to have. Let me know your thoughts down below. Keep it cute, keep it classy in the chat, please. Okay? All right? You can argue with women and argue with men without trying to kill each other. I appreciate it, guys. Make sure you try to help us get to 100K. Share this with somebody. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already.